This CU podcast segment is brought to you by Into the AM. They have premium, high-quality apparel, including nice graphic tees, basic tees, hoodies, and even boxer briefs. I'm wearing one of my favorites, the Lost Signal t-shirt featuring a CRT monitor and a VCR and VHS tapes. And behind me, you have the Grand Terrain tee, you have the High Tide, and if you want to go underwater, they have the Luminance one over there with the jellyfish. Into the AM offers different collections and themes: space, animal, nature, skull, and festival. Shirts are ultra soft, pre-shrunk, tailored fit, and use eco-friendly inks. Into the AM is running a bundle deal for their graphic tees, which are 3 for $60. They also have 3 basic tees for a great discount as well. Click the link in the description on YouTube, or if you're a podcast listener, use code CONTRI and you'll get 10% off these very comfortable shirts and gear. Go look good and feel good with Into the AM. Now our final topic. We're not going to do the voicemails this week because that's for Ian. The Wii U is going to turn 10 years old. We do we do 5s and 0s in the CU podcast for anniversaries. It would have been November 18th, 2012 that it came out. 10 years. It feels, I don't know if it feels like less years or more.
It feels about like, I think COVID like kind of stretched it out. And now it feels like it was 10 years, but it didn't feel like 10 years, 2 years
Did
ago.
COVID make it seem longer or less time? Did it compress time? Did it make
it compressed time? And now it feels like 10 years.
Now it feels like we lost it. We feel like we lost it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Wii U came out. It was a spectacular failure for Nintendo. People say that the Virtual Boy was a bigger failure, but that was more of a novelty item that Nintendo wasn't banking on.
That was just a swing of like a other and a whole other sport. That wasn't even baseball. There
was 2 other systems that were around when Nintendo was doing. There was 3. There was the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, and they were coming out with the N64. So like it was a very minor part of their ecosystem.
That was like another market that was made up.
Yeah, they tried to make it. Yeah, exactly. So like that failure didn't hurt Nintendo's longevity. It didn't hurt their prospects. You didn't have people at the time saying Nintendo should go third party and stop making consoles. With the Wii U's failure, all those questions came up, and people were wondering, can this company continue? Never mind the fact that they were ignoring the massive success of the 3DS at the time. Was at the time we always said, well, it's bad for Nintendo, but the 3DS is keeping them going, and stuff like the NES Classic Edition helped bridge the path. You can make the argument if the Wii U was successful, there would never have been an NES Classic Edition, because Reggie Fils-Aimé said back then, for 2016 holiday, we don't have a product to come out with this holiday season. We're going to do the NES Classic Edition.
They probably thought they were going to sell you all that shit on the Wii U, and then there was like more demand for the retro games than there were for the Wii U. And they were like, shit, we got to put them out somehow.
Well, and then they did do the
they got all these messages from me, and I was like trying to call them, and they were like, let's not listen to that guy, and they just put out the mini.
So what are your thoughts on the Wii U? Did you like the system? Did you think it was misguided? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think it's kind of both. Like, you cannot blame Nintendo for looking at what happened with the GameCube and then looking at the Wii, which is literally a GameCube, but with interesting controls, pretty much. Like, I'm using the word literally.
Sure, interesting controls, internet access, yeah.
But, like, not a far cry from a GameCube technologically. And suddenly, like, literally my grandma had one, which is, like, compared to the fucking, like, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, if my grandma bought an Xbox, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing, you crazy old lady? Like, but the fact that she bought a Wii U or a Wii, she was like, I want to like get moving. Like, you can understand why the follow-up to that system, Nintendo was like, this is not for gamers. This is like a family machine that's going to sit in your house like your blender or your microwave.
Let's make the Super Wii. That's So you saw their logic with, wow, we sold over 100 Wiis. We weren't expecting that.
There was a TV element. There was like Google Maps, all these weird things. And actually, I think everybody else thought that the Wii U was going to be just more of just keep the train rolling with Nintendo, because I believe that the Wii U and their weird strategy is the same reason why the Xbox One went the way that they originally did, where they were like, we're going to be in your living room and the only thing that you need is, because they thought that they were going to be competing with red hot Wii U that was trying to do the same thing, and they were going to outpace it. Like even the Halo and like Rabbids TV shows that never materialized that were going to be like part video game, I feel like they were there to like to lap the Wii U at its own game before they realized they didn't have to worry about that. I think the Wii U has excellent video games on it, just like every other Nintendo console that are made by Nintendo. Like, I think all the first party games on it are just as excellent as any of the other ones. Obviously, some are not. Some are like not as good as others, but like every single one of them is like, even like I would say the biggest like failure related to why the Wii U failed was that Star Fox game that came out. Star Fox, where you like look at the screen and
that you think was the biggest failure? I mean, it didn't help.
Like in terms of like it, like nobody really liked it, and it was like really complicated for all the reasons that the Wii U was complicated. Like even that game, I think is a masterpiece. Like if you actually meet it where it's at, I think nothing on the Wii U that anybody has to say should be directed towards the software. I just think that Nintendo overestimated how many people over the age of 50 who already had a Wii would like be like, we also need to buy the Wii U.
Well, here's the problem. They lean so much on the casual audience for the Wii. They failed to realize that a casual audience are going to be satisfied with what they have, that they can play that for the next 10 years and not have to worry about anything because they want the simple games. The Wii had 1 billion of them, and a lot of people that bought the Wii didn't buy more than a few games.
Yeah, like raise your hand if your grandma still has a Wii. I bet you that's a lot of people. So
their miscalculation was, we can go back to this well. They had a few miscalculations. The name was fucking terrible.
That was just an utter
and form factor is too close. When I was at the reveal, I was there in what the hell was it? Was it E3 2011? Was when they first announced it. 2011. Yeah. I was there. My first E3. I was there in the Nokia Theater, right outside where the Lakers play outside and journalists, people experienced in video games, were asking each other,
"What is this thing?
Is this a new console?" They said, is this an add-on? Is this a new console? I kind of realized, okay, this is probably a new console because of the tablet thing, but people were not sure.
I think they thought it was the tablet and that thing in the box.
People didn't know. And that's the point. They had to come out within a couple of days of E3 and be like, oh no, this is a new console. So if professional gamers and journalists aren't sure, the consumer audience is screwed. They have no idea what you're trying to sell them anymore.
Honestly, that was cleared. Honestly, I think that was cleared up after about 2 months of it being on the market. Like,
I don't know, because Ian at Luna said people would still come in and be like, "What is this?"
That's so embarrassing. Yeah.
The name was terrible. No, I'd never heard. This isn't like the PS3 or 4 where it's a different number. It's Wii and U. What the hell does that mean?
It should have just been called the Wii 2.
It should have been a whole totally different. They should never have showed it being a white console, because they always showed it being a white console, which was the crappy basic one that no one bought. The price was too much money. It was too much at $300 for the basic shitty 8 gig one. It was too much at $350. The Switch was never $350 until the OLED. Like, that shows you just what a bad value people thought it was at the time. Probably the launch game sucked.
I disagree, but I am a huge video game hipster. I think that no one was wowed by Nintendo Land in the general
Nintendo
audience.
Land never caught on like
I
Wii
thought
Sports.
It was gangbusters, but
it was fine.
Yeah,
but it didn't catch on. Zombie U is a tech demo, basically.
It's a great game, but not a system seller by any means.
It's like, a tech demo.
That's like a budget game, yeah.
So like they were counting on Nintendo Land, and that didn't hit. And I can't even tell you, was there like new Super Mario Brothers U on that?
There was a Mario game, and it was a great game, but it was not a 3D game. It was like basically like a spiritual successor to Super. It was the one where you hold the little baby Yoshis that sing, and you have like Monty Mole and stuff. It was a great game.
Launch titles. So
they put the deluxe version on Switch.
Yeah, new Super Mario Brothers U, Zombie U, Batman Arkham City that was already out for like a year.
Ninja Gaiden, I think. Too,
Assassin's Creed 3 was an early title. A crappy Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Scribblenauts Unlimited. Like, you're not talking like people are going to run out and buy these games. There was a decent amount. There was 23. Okay, I thought there was like 10 or 12. So there's more than I thought. Sing Party, Epic Mickey 2.
That was a good game too.
Wipeout 3, Just Dance 4.
Wipeout?
So ESPN Sports Connection. Tekken Tag Tournament 2. So these aren't a lot of exclusives besides the first party ones. You have inferior ports that were on other consoles like Black Ops 2. And so it was not long for this world. And then EA pulls out a few months in when they promised full third-party support. They said, well, this isn't selling at all. They stopped, and that was the death knell. It was dead 6 months in.
Ubisoft was the other one that really hurt when they pulled out, because
it was dead.
When there was the Rayman game that was supposed to be only on Wii U, and then they were like, no. And yeah, it was crazy.
And you can get one anywhere. The scalpers took a huge hit. I thought it was hysterical because they tried to scalp it like the Wii back in 2006 and even 7. Right. You couldn't get a brand new Wii for over a year when it came out. Over a year.
Wii was sold out for like 2 days, and then that was it.
The Wii U was like going on eBay and laughing at people trying to get $500 for it. Yeah. So you're like, oh no, you're going to be returning that. You're going to be returning that console. So it also came out in a weird time where smartphones were just starting to take over more. 2012. Not everyone had them, but people were getting adjusted to iPhone.
Pretty much every young person had one in 2012 by then, which was really another, like the iPad bodied the Wii U.
That's the thing, though. They were trying to do, they came out with a console that should have been mobile, but wasn't. And so they didn't connect the dots. Obviously, the Switch, the Wii U, walked so the Switch could run. We know that now. But they didn't realize that, hey, you have mobile concepts on this. You can walk around your house and play on it as long as you're in the Bluetooth range. But they didn't realize
I was that son of a bitch all the time.
But they didn't realize that was not enough of a selling point versus going outside your house or taking it somewhere. That's why people had a 3DS. So they didn't realize they were trying to cannibalize. They were trying to like impose on another market, a mobile market, but it wasn't powerful enough at the same time. So it was a weird combination of not enough. Almost no third-party games that people cared about. People were, I think, consumers were confused even years into it. I think it was overpriced for what it was.
It's also sort of their PS4, right? Like it's not. It was like supposed to be toe to toe with some stuff that lapped it.
Sure, you did get full HD for the first time, so that was.
That was the thing that was weird, was they were benchmarking it and releasing it with games that were like on the previous gen that had been out for like 5 years.
Sure. The
Wii didn't really compete in that way. They weren't like trying to have the same games. I think that was another big problem.
Yes, I thought it would be a success at the time, just because I was like, there's some interesting stuff you can do with the second screen. There's some really interesting stuff. They never did that, though, and it was almost like I was overthinking the couch co-op would have been bigger than what it was.
But it was great for Nintendo DS ports, and also I will say that there was a glorious time for like 5 months where...
What were the 5 months? When I was playing Mario Kart 8 for 5 months, what was it?
Yeah, like exactly. Like there was like a great period for like 5 months where you could
NES
be the only
Remix.
one.
NES Remix. There you go.
You could be the only person in your friend group who had the Wii U, and everybody would come over and you'd play Nintendo Land maybe like 2 times before everybody got over it. Like before everybody was like not wowed by the novelty of playing hide and seek with like a different thing happening here and a different thing happening here. Like they were right. Like it was a great idea for party gaming. It just, like once you get over the it's like trying to play BioShock twice. Like you're not going to get the like impact of it every time that you play it. It's the same thing with the Wii U. Yeah, it's cool that you're running in a maze, but there's 5 fucking mazes. Like how long till we just master this? You know what I mean? How long can we play Nintendo Land?
I think I had Nintendo Land. I had obviously the NES Remix pack. Because it's NES.
That's a great game too for if you love the NES.
I always buy the WarioWare games because they're always unique and kitschy. I had that. I had Mario Kart 8, and now I'm running out of games I actually had on the Wii U. I think I had like
Tank. It was a great one. What was that? The Devil's Third or something?
Oh, the one that they try to scalp, and then they made more of them because they realized, hey, we can still make these games. So they came out
Ninja Gaiden Sword Guy game. That game ruled.
I remember railing on the idiots trying to scalp that, where I said, dude, this is a new game. Nintendo can make any tomorrow, and that's it. Still might be worth money, but that went from like a $300 game back down to like $70 like in a week.
Yeah, really quick. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a great game that's still not been released elsewhere. That was like a major release on the Wii U.
I think it's that and Star Fox are the only ones that have been re-released on the Switch, right? Those are the 2 big ones.
Star Fox will never come out. And I think there was a Paper Mario that was quite good on there that never
You don't think they're going to re-release? They wouldn't do the Star Fox on the Switch? They wouldn't modify it for the Switch?
You had to fly on one screen while looking out the window of your gun on the on the gamepad. Like it's almost impossible to play that game not on a Wii U. You need two screens.
Split screen it on the screen. Split screen.
That would be no, because you have to hold. Like I don't know. I don't think that people would buy that. I don't think people would buy that.
You don't think they would do it?
I don't. Nobody likes that game. Nobody had like me and Gerard. I think are the only two people in the world who have like loved that. Game.
Now I'm gonna call you out. What was that one called? Star Fox.
Star Fox.
Wii U failure.
What?
Wii U failure. That was the name of it. Star Fox.
It's a platinum game.
Zero. Star Fox
Fox Zero.
Let's see what it got on Wikipedia. Like, what is the Metacritic on that? 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10. That's not bad.
I don't think anybody today has anything nice to say.
Metacritic gave it 69. Nice. So it's 7 out of 10 is not bad.
Yeah, I would be interested though in Playdate on that game. I cannot imagine that people like that game that much.
Okay, I always said like it'd be because there has not been a Star Fox on Switch. I said there has to be a Star Fox on the Switch. Why not just repurpose this one at least? At least do that.
They should just put out Star Fox 64, the 3DS version. Like that was great.
There you go. You can do that.
Or just put out a new Star Fox. What the hell's going on?
So yeah, there's a lot of weird things that happened. The technology was rapidly changing at the time.
I love the apps.
The marketing sucked on it. The 3DS was still going strong for another 3-4 years on top of that. And people did not want a non-mobile console. They're like, no, what's the point of this thing? Especially for the price, $350.
The market just wasn't there. Like nobody wanted any of the new stuff.
No.
The fact that you could use the Wii controllers, that was like, uh-oh.
You thought that was uh-oh versus like a quality thing? It was like, uh-oh, we got to go back to the well on this?
Honestly, the closest thing I can think of to the Wii U, and it's so funny because they're seemingly not failures right now, are just the two current consoles. Oh. Like, there's no real discernible difference between a PS4 and a PS5 right now. Like, what can you do on a PS5 that you can't do on a PS4? Genuinely, play Demon's Souls.
It's just an upgrade. We always said it was like kind of like the Vectrex, the Wii U, because it was like the games were so tied to the console, and you couldn't play them any other way because of the two screens. But they figured out a lot of them on the re-releases. Yeah, so, I just got to say though, like it's so weird. Like it's so weird that people criticize the Wii U for all these things that it did wrong, like not being distinguishable and not having any actual games on it that weren't already on other things. Mm-hmm. And here we are. Now, you can give some slack for COVID and the fact that all these supply chains were interrupted and development on games, yada, yada, yada. But it's been a few years now, and we're kind of inching our way back towards the light, I would say. And yet, every big game, like Horizon, came out on PS4, and it runs great. Like, what's up with that? Like, why were we so mad at the Wii U? What's the deal with the Wii U? Like, why, like, God of War Ragnarok is on PS4. Like, what's going on? What's up? Like what the hell is happening? Just have the guys not look as realistic. That's all. Just downgrade the models. That's all. Because there's been no gameplay innovation. It's just been better graphics. Yeah, and you can actually play the Cyberpunk copy that you own if you have a PS5, I guess. Yeah, it'll actually run. It won't blow up your console. By the way, the new update for Cyberpunk looks great on PS5. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there 2 years after release. This is a whole other conversation. It's been 2 or 3 years. That was pandemic. It was late 2020. It was 2 years. I'm going to just say, speaking about the Wii U turning 10, it's funny how we've changed our criteria for what a game company should be doing for their consoles, because now the people with PS4s are like, don't forget about me, and like that's enough to like not have there be PS5 games, and yet people are buying PS5s. I have one right here. Well, it's already shifting though, because the article came out. Now we're changing subjects. That developers on Xbox say we don't want to support the S. It's an albatross around our necks because we don't want to have a crappy version of it anymore. Yeah, the PS4 is the albatross also. Like the PS4 is their S. But the S is really underpowered. I guess like really. It's better than a PS4, but not by much. It just has really good like onboard hardware for the like system to operate. Oh, okay. It's fine. Like, but it's not it's nothing compared to the X. The X is like the finest video game console ever made. Like, it works perfect. The PS5 works perfect, but you're still playing the same games as your friend who hasn't bought a console in 7 years. So what's the point? It's all about the games. It goes back to our Wii U conversation. It goes back to, talking about reproducing NESs from 50 years ago. It's all about the games. Can you play the games? Can you play good games on it? If not, the console does not matter at all. We'll see.